Welcome to Coming to New England. My name is Erin Durrigan, and my guest today is my mom. Thank you for being here. So, what is your full name?
Michelle Lynn Massey Durrigan.
When and where were you born?
February 28th, 1970, at Lying In Hospital in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Awesome. And were there any special things you remember about the house that you grew up in?
It was a small house in Cranston. Had closets from my room to my brother's that had passageways we could crawl through to get to each other's rooms. And it was down the street from a funeral home. We actually used to play in the funeral home parking lot, which was really weird. And the other way were woods that we played in. It was fun.
Awesome. And what's your earliest childhood memory?
I had a friend who lived down the street from me, and I remember having to go to the bus stop with her and go to school every day and come home. We went to different schools, but the school shared a bus. And she got sick with leukemia. So I remember visiting her in the hospital a lot. And then one day she passed away. She was 10, I was 9. And I remember her dog coming to the bus stop and looking for her every day, and she wasn't there.
What were some of the personalities of your family members?
I had 2 brothers. I was the oldest. My parents. It was my stepdad. My mom was type A personality, very high stress, perfectionist, liked everything just so. My dad was very laid back and kind of polar opposite, let her do her thing and just kind of sat there calmly.
Some things never change, huh?
No. And my brothers were goofy younger brothers. They were cute and easygoing.
Did you live with both of them?
My stepbrother, I lived with only part-time, weekends and summers. And my other brother, yes.
And what was your favorite thing to do for fun as a child, other than torment your brother?
Oh, I did like that. I loved to camp. We went camping all summer, every summer. And at Normandy Farms, it was fun. And we went over New Year's Eve, and we would camp in the snow, which was exciting. And we had a lot of freedom there. We could run around the campground and swim and bike ride, and a lot of other kids. I love to read. I love to go to the beach and hang out with my friends at the mall.
Awesome. I remember we went camping when I was a child. So you carried that over from when you were younger?
It was a lot more fun when I was a child.
So what was school like for you as a child? What were your best and worst subjects?
My best subjects were English and science. I hated math. Some things don't change.
Don't we all?
But I liked school. I thought it was fun. It was social.
And throughout your childhood, who was the oldest relative that you remember?
My Meme Rabitoy. She was my great-grandmother. She died at 91.
Wow.
And she, in her later years, she was moved into a nursing home, and she forgot all of her English. French was her first language, as well as my mom's and my grandmother's, and she reverted back to that. So It was a little difficult to converse with her, but I remember visiting.
At least you had your mom and your grandmother who could translate for you. So how is the world today different from when you were a child?
I would say the biggest difference is our communications and media. When I was a child, there were 3 television channels, and there were news on 3 times a day, and that was it. And now there's news 24/7, whenever you'd like it. People carry cell phones, so you can get in touch with them wherever they are. I had a friend who went to Russia to study, and I talked to him for 2 minutes, and it cost me $28 one day. And so now we can talk to people in Russia. We can see their faces.
And what world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up? Did any of them personally affect your family?
I would say the biggest effect on my family of a world event was the Vietnam War. My parents got together before the war, and my father was in college, and his brothers went to war, and he decided that it was his responsibility to fight. So he went and served our country, and he came back very different than he was. He had PTSD. he had some violent tendencies because of the things he had seen and done on the front lines in Vietnam. And so my parents divorced, and I ended up with my stepdad.
Wow.
And not much contact with my dad.
Well, now that we've heard a little bit about when you were young, what about as you got older? When and how did you meet your spouse?
I was in 1990, and I had finished college, and my friends and I were looking for an apartment together in Providence because they were still in school. And so we looked at a basement apartment, and he was the landlord. And he said he wasn't sure. He had a few other people looking, so he would call us. And he called me that night to tell me that the apartment was ours, and I told him I loved him, which is pretty funny because he turned out to be my spouse, and the very first day I'd ever met him, I told him I loved him. Not really, but...
Whatever you have to do to get the house, right?
So he was my landlord.
What did the two of you do on dates? I know originally you didn't date, according to what you've told me, but...
Well, yes, we went out as friends because he was 6 years older than I was, and so he was adamant that we weren't dating. We were just going out as friends because I was too young for him. I was 20 and he was 26, and so what did we do? He had a motorcycle. We loved to go out on the motorcycle a lot. We loved to hang out on Thayer Street, go to the Avon, and go out to eat, try new and different foods, and go to the beaches. Nice long ride on the motorcycle. We used to go to King Richard's Fair.
Do you two have a favorite restaurant?
No, we didn't have a favorite restaurant. We like to go to lots of different restaurants and hear
Still to
live
this
music.
day. Still to this day, you two do that.
We do.
So what was it like when you were proposed to?
I wasn't sure I was being proposed to. He told me that his friend at work had won a limo and a ride to Boston and dinner there. So I thought we were just going in place of them because they couldn't go. So we got a limo, and then we went to Boston, and nothing was happening. We went to a beautiful restaurant, and we sat on the top floor, and there was a pianist playing, and we could look down, and I thought, oh, maybe, and nothing. So I kind of got a little upset, and we got back into the limo, and I was kind of mad, and he got down on his knee and proposed. So
that's so funny. So where and when did the two of you get married?
We got married on December 26th in 1991.
That's brave, the day after Christmas.
Well, he was a teacher, so that's when he had time off, and I didn't want a summer wedding, so we were able to do it then. And we got married at a restaurant called Encore, which is in the Civic Center overlooking the ice and everything.
Wow.
So.
Is there a memory that stands out the most from your wedding day?
Oh, well, the night before our wedding was Christmas, and everything was very hectic, and he decided that he should give me his credit card that night and said, go get yourself some nice things for the honeymoon. Well, of course, everything was closed because it was Christmas. So the next morning, I had people at my house to do my hair and my makeup, and the people, his brother was going to drive us to the wedding in his antique car, so he was there waiting, and I decided to go shopping. And I said I would just be a little while. And I went and bought a whole new wardrobe, unpacked my suitcase, repacked my suitcase with all new clothes I bought on this credit card he gave me because I didn't have a credit card. And I thought it was great. And I ended up being 35 minutes late to the wedding. And we didn't have things like cell phones really then, so the church was waiting. The priest asked in front of the congregation if they thought I was actually coming. But I did show up, and we did get married, and to his credit, he was not mad. He was happy that I had bought new things that made me happy. He never lost hope that I was coming. So that was pretty funny. I guess in hindsight, I'm not sure he thought it was funny while he stood there waiting. And then at the wedding, when we were exchanging rings, Sean insisted that the ring went on my right hand. and I kept having to put my left hand over it, like we were playing the hands game. He finally got the hint and put it on my left hand, but there was like laughter in the congregation, and so that was funny. And then I had my own little mistake when we were cutting the cake in front of everyone at our reception. I had the knife upside down and couldn't cut the cake, and he had to take my hand and turn the knife over for all to see.
And how would you define the American dream?
Well, America to me is a place where anyone can come, regardless of race, creed, religion, and find a life fulfilled with happiness and a career and a family and be safe and be happy. And that's the American dream to me, for everyone.
Wonderful. It has been a pleasure to interview you today. Thank you again for being here. This is Erin Durrigan, and you have been watching Coming to New England.